evening and thanks for joining us on News Nationwide on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. My name is Ronke Kolawole. Vice President Mohammadu Sambu has flagged off Abuja, Texas Scheme and Community Service Women and Youth Empowerment Program by the Federal Capital Territory Administration. He said the initiative is great achievement and in line with President Jonathan's transformation agenda. State House correspondent Hamza Musamakrifi reports.
The transport scheme is under FCT's Subsidy Reimbursement and Empowerment Program implementation. A total of 160 taxis were allocated to stakeholders to ply routes within the city. Each of the taxi cost over 2 million naira, but its price is subsidized and operators embrace instrumental plan to pay as 4,000 jobs were created for youth and women. Vice President Sambu said, Abuja, which carries the banner of the country's national ideals, must live to excellent reputation as safe haven. He said FCT administration has done well by evolving a transport system expected to improve the welfare of the people.
The launching of the Abuja taxi scheme is apt considering the importance of an efficient, safe, affordable, and environmentally friendly transportation system for a capital city. Transportation is to a city what blood is to the body. Therefore, a city can only be as active as its urban transportation system. The Abuja Master Plan has envisaged a city distinguished by its world-class transport system.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Senator Bala Abdulkadir Muhammad, assured stakeholders of commitment to implementing people-oriented projects to improve the status of Abuja and its satellite communities.
5% subsidy will reduce the cost of the taxi by 120,000 naira. That is to say, we try to accelerate the ownership capabilities of the taxi owners. And by that, honestly, the subsidy amount, it will take everything into consideration, is about 266,000.
The transformative policies of the
We apologize for poor quality of sound in some parts of that report. The National Assembly has promised to do whatever it takes within the limits of the law to recover the control of former National Assembly building illegals as part of the deliberate attempt to preserve the nation's parliamentary history for posterity. A group of parliamentarians led by Senate President David Mark stated this after a tour of the exhibition hall of the Czech Republic Senate as part of interparliamentary exchange program in that country. Adamu Sambu reports.
There was also a display of art treasures of the neoclassical era dated centuries ago. This is through culture and tradition as well as there is no forgetting the past upon which the present and future largely depend.
Most of the buildings here are very old. Going into them, you see how they've managed to maintain them and keep them. Very old buildings, but going into them, you see how they've managed to maintain them and keep them. If we also develop the same attitude of maintenance and preservation and very simple respect for the rule of law, a lot of things will improve.
My takeaway is simply those that we need to preserve our culture. We need to preserve the heritage of our land.
We should restore our historical monuments and not destroy them.
Senate President David Mark and the lawmakers expressed concern over Nigeria's attitude towards its past and promised to initiate action that will halt the negative trend. On the former National Assembly building in Lagos, the lawmakers expressed worry over its deplorable condition and the seeming unwillingness to return its control to them for care and preservation.
I must confess that it is in a very, very sorry state.
We have written a letter asking the president to let us take our own parliament, begin to gradually restore it to what it used to be.
The Nigerian delegation to the Parliamentary Exchange Program has since returned to Abuja. In Abuja, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Traditional rulers from Okrika in Rivers State say they are satisfied with President Goodluck Jonathan's achievements in transforming the nation. The traditional rulers said this when they visited First Lady, who is on a visit to her home state, Rivers. State House correspondent Makut Simon Macham reports.
From the airport reception, when First Lady Dame Patience Jonathan touched down at the Port Harcourt International Airport, the array of people that came out to receive her was diverse. Women groups, youth associations, politicians and other professional bodies all made their presence felt in spite of heavy rain that fell. Traditional rulers from across the state were also present in large numbers to receive their illustrious daughter, Dame Patience Jonathan. At the reception later at the residence, the traditional rulers under the aegis of the Okrika Council of Chiefs, or the Wakrike as they are known, said so far the president has done well to transform Nigeria in spite of the challenges thrown at him from all angles. They said they stand behind him and will support him till the end.
We trust Mr. President is a firm person, strict, loving, caring. We also know he does not witch hunt and is not going to witch hunt anybody.
Dame Patience Jonathan said she was touched by the kind remarks from the traditional rulers who are the pulse of the people and reiterated the fact that President Jonathan means well for the nation.
And nobody can come out to testify or say that my husband has looked for his trouble. He's such a humble man, such a quiet man. So the whole Nigerians know him for that. Because I trust my people. I trust Rivers people. I trust the Okrikans. And I trust the South people. They can never make this.
Several women also came to the residence to welcome home the First Lady. In Port Harcourt, I am Makut Simon Macham, NTA News.
And now back to our first story. Vice President Mohammadu Sambu has flagged off Abuja Texas Scheme and Community Service Women and Youth Empowerment Program by the Federal Capital Territory Administration. He said the initiative is a great achievement and in line with President Jonathan's transformation agenda. State House correspondent Hamza Musa Makarifi reports.
The minister said my passenger and Aduda is the other passenger.
The transport scheme is under FCT's Subsidy Reinvestment and Empowerment Program implementation. A total of 160 taxis were allocated to stakeholders to ply routes within the city. Each of the taxi cost over 2 million naira, but its price is subsidized and operators embrace instrumental plan to pay as 4,000 jobs were created for youth and women. Vice President Sambu said, Abuja, which carries the banner of the country's national ideals, must live to excellent reputation as safe haven. He said FCT administration has done well by evolving a transport system expected to improve the welfare of the people.
The launching of the Abuja taxi scheme is apt, considering the importance of an efficient, safe, affordable, and environmentally friendly transportation system for a capital city. Transportation is to a city what blood is to the body. Therefore, a city can only be as active as its urban transportation system. The Abuja Master Plan has envisaged a city distinguished by its world-class transport system.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Senator Bala Abdulkadir Muhammad, assured stakeholders of commitment to implementing people-oriented projects to improve the status of Abuja and its satellite communities.
5% subsidy will reduce the cost of the price of the taxi by 120,000 120,000 naira. That is to say, the ownership and the ability of the subsidy amount, if we take everything into consideration, is about 266,000.
The transformative policies of the FCT administration, therefore, are designed to achieve the goals of Mr. President's transformation agenda.
Leadership of licensed transport operators thanked the FCT and federal government for introducing the new taxi scheme. In Abuja, I am Hamza Musa Makaripi.
The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Abubakar, has felicitated with the Emir of Kano, Alhaji Ado Bayero, on his 50th anniversary on the throne, describing him as one of the greatest ambassadors of the Nigeria Police. In a statement sent by the Deputy Force Public Relations Officer, Frank Mba, the IGP recalls with delight the Emir's stint in the police between 1957 and 1963, where he stood firm against the culture of impunity and arbitrariness. The IGP reiterates that the greatest gift of the Nigeria Police Force from the Emir is the promise to continue in this path of honor towards realizing improved security for the nation. The Senate President, David Back, said African democracies need very strong, vibrant institutions to foster the legitimacy of elected governments. This was at a two-day international conference with the theme, Emerging Democracies in Africa, Challenges and Opportunities, organized by the National Institute for Legislative Studies in collaboration with European Parliamentarians with Africa and Parliamentary Center, Canada. Correspondent Grace Oyenubi reports.
The Senate President, who declared the conference open, said the theme is timely and apt, and agreed with the former President of Ghana, Flight Lieutenant Jerry Rawlings, that though democracy is firmly rooted in Africa for the past 30 years, weak institutions have bedeviled it.
The vital institutions of democracy, such as parliament, the judiciary, political parties, and civil society are weak, and democratic impulses are still very tenuous. Legitimacy is therefore the first critical challenge that African emerging democracies face. To shore up this legitimacy, African countries must not compromise the eternal, indispensable, and universal democratic values and tenets.
No true democratic arrangement can be successful if the institutions that are meant to serve as checks and balances are not properly structured and equipped to protect and to operate at optimum. These institutions include the independent judiciary, security services, the electoral machinery, a well-oiled and independent media, as well as a vibrant and non-partisan civil society.
The Speaker, Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, said the burden of democracy lies on African leaders and legislators.
I appeal to all African leaders to resolve to create the political will to re-engineer governance through institution building, peace building, and enforcement of transparency and equitable justice. On our part, as legislators, we are quite constrained by a series of challenges posed in the discharge of our civic responsibilities. The National Assembly has indeed moved to strengthen its capacity for the challenges ahead.
President of the Association of European Parliamentarians with Africa, Ms. Miet Smet, said democracy in any society is ongoing.
The democratization process is long and difficult. Democracies promote economic growth by virtue of the transparency inherent in a democratic society.
Another past African leader, Nigeria's Chief Ernest Shonekon, while acknowledging that the adoption of democracy in Africa has increased the quality of governance, said there is need for it to reflect in the life of the electorates.
Democracy does not thrive on empty stomach. Democracy does not thrive on empty stomach.
Earlier on in her welcome address, Director General of NELS, Dr. Ladil Hamalai, spoke on the essence of the conference.
We are organizing this conference at a time when the critical nexus between democracy and development is is being put to test by a series of political, military, and economic challenges in Africa.
Stakeholders gave goodwill messages at the event attended by parliamentarians across Africa and Europe, ECOWAS Parliament, and also academias. In Abuja, Grace Oyenubi, NTA News.
Lagos is our first stop with reports on SGF on national unity and Nigeria-Serbia business seminar. This and more with Abdullahi as our guide. Abdullahi, you're on.
Ranki, thank you for joining us in Lagos. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator Anyim Pius Anyim, says President Goodluck Jonathan administration's transformation agenda is filling the gaps created by faulty foundations of the past. He was speaking in Lagos at the King's College Old Boys Association Business Networking Luncheon. John Gatterman reports.
The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, who spoke on the topic Nigeria, the imperative of national unity, traced the history of Nigeria from colonial times to present time. He said nation building is the responsibility of every Nigerian. Senator Anyim observed that the problems facing the country are traceable to faulty foundation, which was applying European solutions to African problems. He commended King's College Old Boys Association for their role in promoting national unity.
Transformation agenda is therefore an attempt to bridge the gap in our political and social issues and realign our economic fortunes with our social realities.
Hakim Bello Osage is the president of the association.
This is our first political discussion, and it's a political discussion on national unity, given the central role that King's College has played in the issue of national unity, and given that in crucial times in Nigeria's history.
Senator Udoma, who chaired the event, said the lecture is devoted to strengthening national unity.
From the day you enter the school, you are taught that you're first and foremost in Nigeria. Your primary loyalty is to Nigeria and not to where you come from.
King's College was established in 1909 and has produced prominent professionals. In Lagos, John Batiman, NTA News.
Agenda. The business community in Serbia has been informed that the current transformation agenda of the federal government is all-encompassing and is meant to reform and correct the flaws in the country's drive for development. The Nigerian ambassador to Serbia, Harold Koko, made this remark at the Nigerian-Serbia Business Seminar in Belgrade. Teresa Obaba reports.
Before the political changes that resulted in the formation of what is known as Serbia today, Nigeria and the former Yugoslavia had a good trade and bilateral relations dating back to the 60s. The same cannot, however, be said to be so in the last 10 years until the reopening of the Nigerian embassy in Serbia last year. Today, bilateral and trade activities have begun to pick up. This seminar, therefore, was to open a new vista of trade and investment opportunities between the two countries. Nigerian ambassador to Serbia emphasized that the platform provided a much-needed opportunity to reintroduce the Nigerian market to the Serbian business community.
Trying to boost the level of economic relations and attract businesses, investment to Nigeria to help our economy.
Serbia is a developed agrarian country, and this advancement in agriculture is one of the things the country intends to share with Nigeria.
To build the new employment in Nigeria and here as well.
I see the need to ensure that there's understanding and issues that come up can be addressed as they come up.
The seminar was the initiative of the Nigerian Embassy and the Serbian Chamber of Commerce to promote the enormous potential in trade and investment between both countries for their mutual benefit. In Belgrade, Serbia, I am Teresa Wabalba, NTA News.
Nigerians have been advised to study hard to change the negative notion and misconception entertained by the outside world about Africa and Africans. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Olubenga Ashiru, gave the charge at the inauguration of Okali Seminar Ideas Foundation for Africa, or SIFA, in Lagos. The report.
The Okali Seminal Ideas Foundation for Africa believe that Africa is the candle of humanity, the most transformation of human achievement, and the most expressive of his genius as Homo sapiens invented by them, including the requisite techniques and technology under local conditions without help from the white men. But today, Africa barely counts in contributing to the global stock when it comes to ideas.
Knowledge is nothing more than a accumulation of ideas. If people perish for lack of knowledge, it is another way of saying we perish because we lack ideas.
The OSIFA objective is to promote and facilitate the effective participation of Africa in the world of ideas, and through this, ensure that the continent's development is spearheaded and sustained by the ideas of its own people.
It's about being able, using our own intellect to apply to problems and to global issues and see them from the African perspective.
To African cultures, African intellectuals has unfortunately found itself wittingly or otherwise acquiescing.
Other speakers at the event call on the government to improve the standard of education in the country.
The senator representing Lagos Central Senatorial District, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, says democracy will endure in Nigeria if the well-being of the people is made the priority by political leaders. She said these are the media parley in Lagos, where she rendered the account of her stewardship as a first-term senator. Hekla Wilke has the details.
It's been 2 years since Senator Oluremi Tinubu assumed office as a senatorial district leader representing Lagos Central on the platform of the Action Congress of Nigeria, ACN. While reassessing her midterm progress report, Senator Tinubu says serving the people has been humbling and fulfilling.
Now that most of us elected into public office have reached the middle of a 4-year term in office, I believe that it is logical to cast a glass half pass, reassess the present and prepare for the remaining part of the journey ahead.
Senator Oluremi insists that an all-embracing policy platform by Nigerian leaders on social and economic development remains a veritable tool for democratic governance and a catalyst for accelerating Nigeria's growth.
I emphasize the need for all of us to be committed towards making the necessary sacrifice to make genuine change happen in Nigeria. On my part, I have sponsored 2 bills aimed at providing social security for Nigerians, elderly citizens, and amending the section of the Labour Act which restricts employment opportunities for women, all of which are past the second reading.
The senator says regular re-evaluation of performance by political office holders is a key factor in staying focused on electoral promises that will bring about dividends of democracy for the electorates. In Lagos, Thekla Wilkie, NTA News.
Well, Thekla's report ends our contribution from here. Ronke, it's over to you.
Thank you, Abdullahi. As part of efforts to ensure that total peace is restored in Borno State, youths within Maiduguri, the state capital, have resorted to assisting security agents in fishing out insurgents in their midst. Correspondent Memuna Garba reports.
Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, has in recent times witnessed a series of activities of insurgents, as a result of which many lives and property were lost. Commercial, academic, and other activities have also suffered major setback in the face of the lingering security challenges confronting the state. This trend necessitated some youths within Maiduguri to organize themselves, thereby curtailing the activities of the insurgents within the state capital. Their action appears to be yielding results, as the youths, who are popularly called civilian JTF or Sector 15, claim to have made high-profile arrests of alleged gunmen and handed them over to security agents.
There is many people we brought to them and they caught them lively with arms. We bring now more than 77 people. Now they are in military's hand.
The youth said they decided to take the bull by the horn, considering the magnitude of the activities of the insurgents, where a lot of people have died either in the hands of insurgents or security personnel, and in most instances, the youths are at the receiving end.
kuma tun kafin mu fara fesin nasu makama suna shigowa muna zaune a cikin wajen aikin mu muna ganin su za su ci sata ko su kashe mutum su dawo ta gaban mu har Allah ba mu ikon zuciyar da zamu yi fara hawan su muna kama su.
Some of the volunteers who sustained gunshots in an attempt to apprehend the gunmen said they will not relent in their effort until peace is restored to the state. The Joint Security Task Force in Maiduguri commended the youth, stressing that their effort will make their work easier. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the redeployment of security personnel to Marte local government area of Borno State by President Goodluck Jonathan to end the activities of insurgents in the area came as a relief to the people. This was because before the arrival of the security personnel, the area was under siege by members of the Jamaatul Alil Sunnah Lid Dawati Wal Jihad. Correspondent Mohammed Goni, just back from Marte, has an update.
Marte local government is one of the areas devastated by the activities of insurgents in the state. Protection of life, liberty, and property, which is the essence of every government, has been threatened. The residents of Kirenoa say the commencement of military operation in the area has given them a semblance of peace.
Sun ba mu wahala sosai, suna karban motocinmu, suna karban mashina, har mata ma wai su suna aure dole haka. Magarantu sun yi stopping.
Myself, my junior brother was slaughtered on Friday before they left out.
Ai kaso jari sana so hangal lebo zina bune farai lenyan ba de kare.
Some residents who spoke to NTA News said their daily social and economic activities have been hampered by the crisis until the arrival of the military,